evening, everyone. We come on the air to a nation changed, altered by outrage and pain, fire and fury. Right now, more protests underway in cities large and small, bracing for what comes next after street clashes last night, some turning violent over an act of violence, the death of a black man under the knee of a white police officer. Tonight, more than a dozen states are relying on the National Guard to help keep the peace. This as there is now a growing backlash against our country's largest police force and new concern about the spread of COVID as crowds gather. Our reporters are covering every angle. We begin with Miguel Almaguer in Santa Monica. Miguel, what's the scene there?
Lester, good evening. The situation here in Santa Monica, California is very fluid. You can see police here now firing tear gas into the crowd. They are trying to push these folks back. Earlier today, just a few blocks away, there was looting underway nearby. Police seem to have had enough.
The nation erupted into scenes of chaos, violence, and widespread destruction into the early morning hours. Dozens of American cities up in flames after some protests turned into riots, often followed by looting as a nation simmering with unrest unraveled.
How long can you be peaceful when your people are dying?
In Los Angeles, hours before a curfew was ordered, the city became a war zone. After attempting to breach television studios, large groups torched police cruisers as officers fired back with rubber bullets. Before nightfall, the looting began. Department stores, jewelers, and high-end apparel shops trashed by unruly mobs. The mayor calling on the governor to dispatch the National Guard for the first time since the Rodney King riots in 1992. Strikingly similar scenes and issues of injustice, 28 years apart.
We've seen this before in Los Angeles. When the violence escalates, no one wins.
After 3 nights of protest and violence, the state of emergency in Los Angeles mirrored by pockets of anarchy nationwide, described as all hell breaking loose in Seattle when police lost control of downtown, crowds destroyed, then took over their vehicles. This video capturing one man removing a high-powered police rifle before a plainclothes security guard disarmed the man, clearing the magazine. But there was also troubling scenes caught on camera at the hands of police. This video appearing to show an officer putting his knee on the neck of someone taken into custody before another officer pulls his leg off. A shocking scene after the death of George Floyd, why so many poured into the streets.
We can't peaceably protest in the streets without getting tear gas thrown at us for what?
With demonstrators out in force again today, a violent takedown in Philadelphia, where a Foot Locker was looted after more than a dozen officers were injured there last night. With tear gas choking the streets of Miami, police battled protesters to keep control of their headquarters. With banks burned, highways shut down, and City Hall on fire in Nashville, there was more than 1,000 arrests. In Salt Lake City, police have identified this man who may have fired arrows into a crowd from a crossbow before he was mobbed by a nearby group. In Tallahassee, Florida, someone drove through a protest after their pickup truck was surrounded by a crowd. The National Guard is moving into Chicago after clashes between protesters and police.
In this city, we care for each other. This is a time for us to unite.
Tonight, a nation on edge and up in smoke as many plead for peace in the wake of yet another violent night.
The cat and mouse game here in Santa Monica continues. You can see police are ready to move in on all these protesters again. The curfew starts in less than 30 minutes. Scenes like this are playing out all across the nation as the National Guard moves in. Lester? And here we
Miguel
go.
Almaguer with a scene from the West Coast. All right, thank you, Miguel. The largest police force in the nation here on the East Coast is facing backlash tonight, fueled by shocking encounters during the protests in New York City. NBC's Ron Allen has details.
Across New York today, with thousands of protesters demanding justice, clashing with police on the streets. Multiple incidents caught on video igniting outrage. A police vehicle accelerating through a crowd. A woman shoved to the ground, unclear why.
I wasn't aggressive towards the police officer. But even if I was, he should have had the self-restraint to not hurt the people he's supposed to be protecting.
Here, a police officer is seen pulling down a protester's mask and spraying mace.
There's tremendous stress on everyone. I've seen those videos, and those videos are truly disturbing. And some of the videos, frankly, are inexplicable.
Now, with the state's governor ordering the attorney general to investigate, New York's mayor and police chief are pushing back, insisting overall police have shown restraint while under attack from violent elements within the crowds. Those police vehicles only move forward because they were attacked.
There are protests and there are mobs, and I saw akin closer to a mob. A protest does not involve surrounding and ambushing a marked police car and putting my officers and my detectives' lives at risk.
So far, at least 30 officers injured, some 350 arrests Saturday night, including 3 suspects accused of targeting police with firebombs. Decades of simmering anger exploding in a city with a long history of deadly confrontations. Eric Garner, Sean Bell, Amadou Diallo, that echo what happened to George Floyd at the hands of police. New York's mayor claims reforms like ending stop and frisk, widespread roundup of countless young black men, and comprehensive de-escalation training for every officer has improved policing, while admitting the confrontation show NYPD still has work to do.
I saw a tremendous amount of restraint, but I also saw things that need to be done better. Clearly, I saw some moments yesterday that were disturbing in terms of the way police handled things.
Across the city tonight, more protests are planned, including this one just getting underway here in Times Square. And while many major cities have imposed curfews to try and bring down the size of the crowds, New York's mayor says that's not necessary here. Lester?
All right, Ron Allen tonight in New York. Thank you. And now to Minneapolis, the epicenter of this crisis. Tonight, change in tactics. Police now cracking down on anyone ignoring curfew. Gabe Gutierrez reports.
In the largest public safety operation in Minnesota's history, local and state police and 4,000 members of the National Guard took a stand, aggressively using tear gas, pepper spray, and drawn weapons in a desperate attempt to squelch days of escalating chaos. This time, no major fires or injuries.
I want to thank everyone who participated in our ability to restore trust to our streets. It was incredibly complex. It was incredibly difficult.
The tactics were the strictest yet. Here, police shoot a paint canister at someone on their front porch. Journalists like NBC's Ali Velshi.
Get back, get back, get back. You're hit. He's hit.
And Morgan Chesky were in the middle of it.
They have tripled the amount of law enforcement here in Minneapolis tonight. Let's go.
Law enforcement authorities here acknowledged they did not have an adequate plan to confront large-scale violent protests earlier in the week.
What took so long to get on the same page?
A good question. I think resources. I think we're all kind of asking that question. I think now we know what we need. We know that we need a unified command.
Today, a peaceful protest at the state capitol and a growing makeshift memorial for George Floyd. Demonstrators are demanding more charges for the other 3 fired officers involved after the one who knelt on his neck was charged with third-degree murder and manslaughter on Friday. Now, new security video of what happened moments earlier appears to show a struggle in the backseat of a police vehicle. Michael Holliday came here from Houston. He says he's protesting peacefully, that he understands why the anger runs so deep.
Sometimes violence is needed. It got your attention, right?
He does not consider himself an outside agitator.
Imagine if it was your child. How would you feel? Imagine if it was your son on the ground screaming, "I can't breathe, help me." Please, if it was you, what would you want somebody to do? Would you want the community to come stand up with you? Or would you want them to go home and go to sleep?
Gabe joins us now from Minneapolis. Gabe, I know there are fears there this evening that this calm may not hold.
Well, Lester, all the gatherings today, including this one, have been peaceful, but police are not taking any chances. The National Guard says it was warned by the FBI of a credible lethal threat. So that's why its guardsmen are now armed. Lester?
Yeah, an ominous development there in Minneapolis. Gabe, thank you. And as protesters march near the White House tonight, the president is blaming an extremist group for the violence, labeling them domestic terrorists. Kelly O'Donnell reports now from the White House.
Days of national outrage at the president's doorstep. More protests today near the White House. More than 60 Secret Service officers and agents injured this weekend. The president assigning blame to a militant anti-fascist movement. The United States of America will be designated Antifa as a terrorist organization. A bold but questionable claim, since federal law does not allow for U.S. organizations to be classified as terror groups. Legal experts say the president crossed a line.
That is a dangerous authority in power. It is not an authority that exists under current law, and it should not.
But as a political matter, the president branded this new adversary.
Violence and vandalism is being led by Antifa and other radical left-wing groups.
Today, National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien said tactics separate Antifa from peaceful protesters.
Using military-style tactics, using Molotov cocktails, using fireworks, using gasoline, using bricks and paving stones to attack.
Today, in a statement, Attorney General William Barr points out that criminal conduct, not a specific militant group, can be charged with homegrown terrorism. The violence instigated and carried out by Antifa and other similar groups in connection with the rioting is domestic terrorism and will be treated accordingly. The White House also wants action from the FBI.
The president wants to know what the FBI has been doing to surveil, to disrupt, to take down, to prosecute Antifa.
Well, those are not constructive tweets.
Today, Republican Senator Tim Scott said he spoke with the president and encouraged him to avoid contentious tweets.
Mr. President, it is helpful when you lead with compassion. Mr. President, it helps us when you focus on the death, the unjustified, in my opinion, the criminal death of George Floyd.
Tonight, senior officials say while the president has offered active duty military police to state and local governments in crisis, as it stands right now, he does not intend to put state-led National Guard units under federal control. That keeps governors in charge, and the federal government can provide additional law enforcement backup with agencies like the FBI and ATF. Lester?
Kelly O'Donnell at the White House, thank you. The outrage over police brutality in our country has gone global. Crowds packed London's Trafalgar Square today, defying the UK's coronavirus lockdown to support the Black Lives Matter movement. Others in Berlin protested outside the U.S. Embassy there. The movement even caught attention as far away as Iran.